Welcome to the Let's Talk BS podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Sofia, and we're coming to you live from the
757.
Good morning, Bryan.
Hey, what's going on, Sofia? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good.
I apologize for being a little late this morning.
It's all good.
School bus system in Chesapeake sucks.
Yeah. I've heard that on a couple occasions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
We were out there for like an hour, and then I ended up taking the kids that were left over at the bus stop to school.
Jeez.
So it's funny because when I got there, I didn't even know like these kids' full names. I was just like, hey, look.
So
they just got to ride.
Question: did you feel comfortable doing that though? Like taking kids?
Oh, I got permission from the adult.
The parent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I just didn't know.
No, I ain't finna just pick up nobody's kids. No.
I got you. No, I mean that's the way you said it. I thought you were saying to the sense like, hey, you recognize your daughter bus didn't come and they were out
there. Be out there by themselves, like completely by themselves. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, middle child, not the oldest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, they definitely gave permission. I don't. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't play games with kids. That's one thing I don't do.
Yeah, I understood. I understood. I've heard. I know my neighborhood. I've heard like stories in my neighborhood that I live in where like I don't know if the bus was late or somebody missed the bus or something, and like there was parents that like take their kids to school that drive there or whatever. Like they've helped out and like pick the kid up or whatever.
Exactly. Yep. Same situation. Same situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just didn't know how that because I've never experienced that, but I just didn't know like is that something that you just off the free spirit say, hey, I got you type of thing, even if you don't necessarily have a conversation with the parent, or you got to make sure you have a conversation with the parent.
Make sure I have a conversation. Even I go as far as, let's say the kids are outside playing, right? Because a lot of neighborhood kids, they play together.
Yeah. And
let's say they want to come in and get a popsicle. Call your parents before you walk in here.
Yeah.
They need to hear my voice. I need to hear theirs. We need to have some type of conversation before you walk into this house.
Yeah. I remember growing up, it was funny having my mom was like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the house that I had growing up was kind of like I'm gonna say the playhouse, but like most of my friends growing up, they lived in like either like townhouses or apartments or condos. Yeah. And I was one of the only ones that actually had like a house, I guess you could say. Like I had a backyard, so I had like space to play and do things. Play basketball, I had a basketball hoop in front of my house. So we used to play ball in front of my house. And in my backyard, I remember we had a trampoline. And so I remember, mind you, I'm like, I think middle school, so I'm probably like 12, 13 years old at the time. And literally every single day when I'll come home from school, like if I wasn't playing a sport during that particular time or even after that, like we would just go jump on the trampoline. And my mom made she made up this waiver. And so she made she made all the kids and parents sign, or not the kids, made the parents sign the waiver for the kids to be able to come over.
I would do that too.
It was just funny because I remember one time where one of the kids wanted to come jump on the trampoline even when I wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So like, and my mom was like, it was kind of like a situation where like the person, I guess, the mom couldn't get in contact with their mom. She knew him, so it wasn't like it was like a person that was random, right? So she knew him, but she couldn't get in contact with their mom. I think I may have been at practice or something like that, and the kid still wanted to come jump on the trampoline, and like he was all upset or whatever because my mom was just like,
no, absolutely, no.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Yeah. When I was a kid, this girl that I grew up with, she her mother bought her a trampoline, and I used to go over her house every now and again or whatever. And I don't remember jumping on the trampoline, but what I do remember is seeing the trampoline, and it had the thing around it. The
net?
Yeah.
See, mine didn't have a net. Mine joint, if you jumped the wrong way, you was off that joint.
Right. But listen, if I'm not mistaken, she had the net around it, and she still managed to break her leg. And I learned my lesson from her. And I never got on that trampoline. I was like, I ain't trying to break my leg. Because at the time, I was playing basketball. I was like, absolutely not. And I remember, like, back in the day, like, she would have this cast on. She used to take, like, wire hangers and like try to scratch.
I did that. Yeah. I broke my arm, and I used to get coat hangers like And I used to get the plastic joints, even the wire joints, because that joint, I remember I broke my arm. I got a funny story too. I'll tell that story as well, how I broke my arm. But yeah, so trampoline, like you said, I did it kind of the same thing. Like when I got to like high school, I kind of stopped jumping on the trampoline for it. My sister had a 8-year difference between my sisters. She started jumping on it a lot more.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to hurt myself. I was always cautious. I didn't want to hurt myself. But yeah, I remember when I broke my arm, it's crazy, where I was young too, so we hadn't even moved to the house yet. So I was probably like 8, 9 years old, second or third grade. And I don't know if you had this in Michigan, but we used to have. They still got them around here, like them green boxes, the electric boxes, where kids like would sit on and just kind of pass and chill or whatever. And so I remember there was this field. I used to live in this apartment complex. We used to call it first field, second field, and third field. So a lot of times we would play football or play soccer or something in one of the fields, right? Because they're basically like this big field between the houses, between the apartments.
And this is here in Virginia?
This is Virginia Beach. Okay. Yeah, this is over in Kings Grant. So anyway, I remember that it was the summertime and they were picking on this girl. It was this girl and they threw her shoes. You know how like the old school joints where you had your shoelaces tied and they hang them on the electrical wire, right? So they had threw this girl's shoes in the tree. And it was like it was up there and like she couldn't get them. You know what I'm saying? Because it was hanging from a tree branch. So, me trying to be Superman, I got up, I was like, I got you, or whatever. Because I was looked at as like the athlete, the guy that would run and do all the stuff or whatever in the neighborhood. So I got up on the green box and I tried to jump and I did. I jumped and hung up on the branch, but it was like over to my left a little bit. So I was trying to reach for the shoes. And I remember when I went to reach, this hand slipped. I fell back and landed like this and broke my wrist. That joint hurt so bad. I ran home. Like, they was like, Bryan, are you okay? And one good thing I will say, the shoes did come down. So the girl got her shoes, right? Got her shoes at the expense of my arm. You know what I'm saying? But the shoes came down, so the girl was happy. And I remember I ran home just holding my arm. And then I came in the house and I showed my mom. My mom was like, I remember her reaction, right? Because I didn't even look at it myself. I just remember it hurt so bad. And I remember her reaction. She was like, "Oh snap! We got to go to the doctor, Bryan." I was like, "Oh man!" And so
it didn't look deformed.
It was just like you can see. I mean, the bone won't coming out the skin or nothing like that, but it was just like
it looked like limp.
Yeah, it just looked. Yeah, it was going like this. Like you can kind of see that.
Yeah,
it wasn't right. Good. Yeah, something wasn't right. So yeah. So anyway, I had that summer though. I had a cast on my arm. And I remember it used to be so hot, so sweaty. I was so mad because I wanted to play and I couldn't play. Man, I used to sit there and reach down there and get the coat hanger and scratch my arm. And I remember once I got the cast off, it happened like the second week of school. So I remember the beginning of school that next year, I still had the cast on, which sucked. And I remember but was one thing that was cool. Everybody that first day of school signed my cast, which was fire. I was like, that was what the teacher did. The teacher was like, yeah, you know what? Everybody signed Bryan's cast. So she she was looking out trying to make me feel.
Did you have a color cast?
Nah, it was white. It was a white joint. Yeah, it was a white joint. But yeah, so everybody signed the cast or whatnot. And I remember when the dude cut it off. When he put the cast on, he was like, you can't stick anything down there or whatever. So when he cut it off, you could tell, because I have been doing it so much, I think it was like, you could kind of see a line of me like scratching my arm, my wrist, because it was so like sweaty and stuff, man.
They know. They not crazy. They know.
The dude was like, you been scratching your arm, have you? I was like, yeah. Because I was looking at what he was looking at. You know what I'm saying? I was going to lie to the dude. I was like, nah, man. Yeah, I was.
It would have been even more funny if you just would lie.
Yeah. Like, and my mom was right there, too. So I was like, and she knew I was scratching the junk, too. I mean, it wasn't,
Obviously,
Yeah, that joint is like crazy.
And then the itch you can't get to, oh my gosh. Those are the worst.
Yeah, that joint was terrible.
So what you been up to? I mean, I know you went to the Super Bowl. How was that experience?
Yeah.
Y'all still lost. You spent all that money for you to go there and lose.
That's terrible. You was probably rooting against us too. I know you was.
I was going
terrible.
for the Chiefs.
That's terrible. Why you going for the Chiefs for?
Because my mom lived in Missouri.
Oh, that's why? You just go find a reason, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's terrible.
You asked the question, I answered.
That's terrible, man. That's absolutely terrible. But yeah, the Super Bowl was dope, man. I'm gonna take a step back one. So Friday, the last day we recorded, was my dad's birthday. So we went out to dinner, went to Ruth Chris. on Friday night, which was really, really cool. It was me, my mom, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend, Brooke, and then the kids. So we all went. It was really, really cool. Again, I always say I'm trying to teach my son punctuality, so he had the napkin over him, and he was like wiping it. It was funny, man. It was funny. It was
Oh
good
my
stuff.
gosh. Jada was just doing that last night.
For real.
Oh my goodness. Yes. She was taking a corner, wiping the corner of her mouth. And so she had ate a shrimp last night. And like when I eat shrimp, I bite down on the shell, but not too hard. And then I just so happen to be able to pull the shrimp out with my teeth. I ain't got to touch it. I ain't got to do nothing, right?
You know how to do some magic then. I don't know how to do that.
You can. Okay. You just probably never tried it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you be
thinking
out the box. You be thinking out the box.
So you doing some stuff else. Like, she said she bite the shell, slide that jade out, shell still in the mouth, pop that joint. Like, you got it. Yo, I need to take notes. I want to know how to do that.
Whatever. But anyway, so she was like breaking it down. Her hands was filthy, all kinds of garlic and butter and all this stuff all over her hands, right? So then she goes like this.
Yeah, that's my son does that too. Yeah.
Immediately I was pissed. I was like, why are you doing that? Immediately we go into this etiquette. Like, not supposed to. She was like, this is what she did to me. She sat there. She looked at me because she knew she had not done anything wrong. And she slowly lifted the black place thing.
Yeah.
And I was like...
So she was trying to show you, like, hey, I know what I'm doing over here.
She was like, I'm not wiping my hands on my pants. And I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, she had the handkerchief on her.
And so she gave me this smirk like, yeah, you was wrong.
Yeah, kids will do that when you're wrong. Yeah, they'll do that. Yeah, my son does that too.
Because I definitely was about to get, oh my gosh, it was right there. I was about to go ham on her. Yeah. Whole pig.
Yeah, you silly pig. You silly, man.
Well, go ahead, my bad.
Yeah, but yeah, so Friday night we went to dinner. That was really, really fun. Celebrating my pops. And then we left. Our flight was Saturday morning at 5 o'clock. So we had to...
A.M.?
5 o'clock a.m., yeah. So we had to get to the airport pretty early, like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And surprisingly, it was actually a decent amount of folks at the airport, too.
Who did y'all fly?
We flew through... So we flew American. American had a flight from Norfolk to Charlotte and then Charlotte to Vegas. So we flew that way. We end up getting to Vegas at like 9:30, 9:45 in the morning because, we're flying, back through, West Coast time, or going to West Coast time. So we got there in the morning. It was cool. The hotel we stayed at, we was able to get early check-in, so we was able to drop our stuff off. And then I ended up linking up with my buddy, Sherman. He was on a previous episode we did, CPA. Him and his wife were out there, so we ended up eating brunch with them at this place called Sugarcane, which was really, really, really good.
The drink place?
Nah, it was just a restaurant. Oh. Yeah, it's a restaurant called Sugarcane. It was in the Venetian Hotel
I'm thinking Sugar Factory.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Sugar Factory.
Yes, yeah. So it's a place called Sugarcane. It was good. It had like chicken and waffles and stuff. It was really, really good. Okay. Then after that, we went to this day party, which was really, really cool. They played that music that like the little like I don't even know what it's called. Like. Yeah. They played that type of music, and that's actually what Brooke likes as well. So like it was pretty cool, kind of seeing her in that element because we really never. I'm trying to think like over the years, we've never really like went to like parties that had that type of music. To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying. Most of the times we went to like regular DJ that had like hip hop and R&B type of music or whatever. So that was pretty cool. We was there for a minute. It was crazy, man. They were charging outrageous prices. It cost $50 to get in, but like to get like a table, it was
$2,000.
No, $20,000. It was $20,000 to get a table in there. So we was like, because me and Sherman had went up and asked the guy, and they were like, he was like, yeah, okay, never mind. But it was cool. We was in there. They had like girls dancing and stuff. They had bubbles and champagne stuff. It was dope, man. We were there for like 4 hours. Then after that, we just kind of walked around. It was surprisingly pretty chilly in Vegas, too. The weather was like 50, 55 degrees. So, everybody had like, long sleeve jackets or whatever on. So we just walked around really the rest of Saturday, went to a couple of bars, and we ended up going to a place called, I think it's called Bardo or something like that, that's in the Aria. Yeah, Aria Resort. And what was pretty cool is we were sitting there eating dinner that night on Saturday night, and DJ Nice came up to us. So DJ Nice is pretty sure most folks probably know him. He was the DJ that was DJing a lot during the pandemic. Like I don't know if he was actually having like DJ like shows and a lot of like
Versus?
not necessarily. Well, he did participate in verses. Yeah, he DJ'd against another DJ. I can't remember who it was, but he was one of the ones that like started it, and verses kind of picked up off of what he was doing. But he would like say, "Hey, I'm going live. I'm just going to DJ a whole bunch of music sets or whatever." So he was sitting eating dinner beside us, and he was with the woman from My Wife and Kids show I really liked growing up, and it was crazy because she looks totally different now. She had like short hair because I think her name was Claire in the show. She was the one that was kind of dutsy a little bit, like in my wife get one, the daughter, the second daughter. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The little daughter, or the big one?
The oldest.
The light skinned girl. She looked mixed.
Yeah, had light skinned girl, had long curly hair. Yeah, so she was there. She sat, both of them sat beside us, ate dinner. We were talking. He was telling us about he had a DJ at a party that night or whatever. So that was pretty cool. Connected with them a little bit. Seen a whole bunch of celebrities just around, just at different throughout the hotels, at different parties or whatever, which was pretty cool. Then the next day, ended up, going to sleep, I would say probably 9, 10 o'clock because, we were exhausted. That was pretty much almost staying up a full 24 hours at that particular time. So we ended up waking up, and then I got tickets to this tailgate. It's called the Players Tailgate. And it was pretty cool because there was a whole bunch of people there. They had all famous chefs from the Food Network cooking food. Brooke, she really, really likes the Food Network. She likes Bobby Flay and the guy Mark Murphy were the two big famous chefs. So I was able to get her to introduce her to them. She took pictures with them and everything. So that was really, really cool. That was pretty much the highlight of her trip, was being able to meet them and then, eat some of their culinary things that they were preparing. So that was cool, man. I ended up seeing another one of my buddies named Todd. I didn't even know this, but he had just moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And so he was in Vegas, so we ended up running into each other. We was kicking it for a little bit, so that was pretty cool too. And then we went over to the game. The game was right across the street, and the game was dope, man. I seen Gayle King. Took my buddy, his wife took pictures with her. It was just a whole bunch of people we saw, man. It was a whole bunch of people we saw, but it was cool. The game was fire. Halftime show was fire. I'm pretty sure most folks liked it as well. The Usher performance with all the different guests that he had come out. Just being in the building, the electricity in the building. That joint was dope. It was literally, when I was younger, I always wanted to go to the Super Bowl. So to be able to have this bucket list item to be able to check off my list and do it at the age that I did it at was dope. Instead of waiting until I'm 60 and stuff like that, I was able to enjoy something like that right now. So it was dope. Even though my boys lost, gave up the game, hate how we lost. We was winning the whole game, gave it up, lost in overtime. But to experience that, man, that was something that was really, really dope. My kids, I was FaceTiming my kids. They was all excited. They was wearing jerseys back at home, and, they was all excited about the game. So it was cool.
That sounds like fun. Wish I was there.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really, really cool, man. It was definitely a good time. I definitely recommend people, if you got things you want to accomplish and do goals or just vacations or places you want to see, go see them, man. See them when you're young, when it means a lot more to you. You know what I'm saying? Go do those things, obviously within reason, but do those things when you can and when you want to. You know what I mean? Versus waiting until, they may not mean as much and, but yeah. Super Bowl was dope, man. Yeah, how was it? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you about to say.
Oh, how was if I know that next year they're playing in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Or New Orleans.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And if the 49ers go, you going next year too?
Nah, I ain't going, man. Because it costs a lot of money.
Broke your heart?
Nah. You said it broke my heart. Nah, it's two reasons. One, it costs a lot of money, right? And to me, bucket list items are bucket list items. You go and you do it once, and that's what it is. You know what I mean?
But that ain't your first Super Bowl, is it?
It's my first one where I've actually went inside the game. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
okay.
And so it's funny because I was talking to one of my homeboys because the 49ers went to the Super Bowl in 2019, and that was down in Miami, and so I didn't go into the game, but I went out there with a couple buddies. We were having a good time, and the 49ers lost that Super Bowl. And then this year they went to Vegas, actually went into the Super Bowl, had a great time, and they lost that Super Bowl.
Lost.
So I was talking to my buddies. He was like, "Man, you bad luck, Brian. You need to stay your ass home."
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? Yeah, and let's unless my son, like, I've had that experience with Brooke now, so unless, like, my son want to do something like that or my dad wants to go, I would do that, you know what I mean? But if the 49ers just go back next year, I mean, it ain't going to be better than what I just experienced. Like, Usher, Vegas, like, that's the pinnacle, and that's it, yeah.
All right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mardi Gras was what? This past week?
Yeah, it was that week leading up to the Super Bowl, yeah.
Nah, because one of my clients is in she's in New Orleans right now, and I just called her like 2 days ago, and she was like, "Hey, I'm at Mardi Gras. Can I call you right back?"
Well, Mardi Gras is like 10 days, and it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Okay, yeah. So I think it started. Because I know it starts with Fat Tuesday. So if I'm not mistaken, Fat Tuesday
What is Fat Tuesday? I only know the restaurant Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, that's the whole. I guess. Again, I don't know if the cart before the horse. I don't know where it came from or what came first. But Fat Tuesday is always the official kickoff for Mardi Gras. Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe, because I remember I was talking to, I can't remember who it was. It might have been my buddy Sherman, because he's from New Orleans. That's where he's actually from.
Okay.
But I think the Mardi Gras started last Tuesday, and I think it lasts like 10 days, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's probably going to end like right around like today or this weekend. So,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah. I've never been to New Orleans, though, so that is something that is enticing, I guess you could say. But I've never.
Well, apparently I've lived there and didn't know. I just found, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. Sorry, Louisiana.
Okay.
Apparently I lived in Baton Rouge, and I don't remember any of it.
Okay.
I just found this out after my dad passed away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I would like to go to New Orleans. I would like to go to Essence Fest one time.
Mm-hmm.
With a group of girls. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, my buddy Tyrone, man, I remember his wife, and did he go to? I know his wife, and I think her girlfriends, they went like, it might have been last year if I'm not mistaken, but he said that they had a really, really good time, So yeah, New Orleans is definitely a place that I heard was really, really fun. My dad, he's been to Mardi Gras before, back when he was in the military. I know he said he went down there with a couple of his buddies or whatever, but
yeah, because I think A or B school, one of the schools in the Navy is in Mississippi.
Okay.
And so a lot of them, when they're in A school or B school, I can't remember what school, it's a Navy, it's some type of training that's in Mississippi for people that's in the Navy. And it's literally like, I think, an hour away where they are to New Orleans.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of them will like just go there for the weekend and then come back, because technically you could travel within 3 hours of where you are.
Okay.
Without having to put in any leave requests and all that stuff. So.
Okay. Yeah. Super Bowl next year, New Orleans should be fun. Hopefully, the Niners get back there and actually win it this time. But yeah, I'm definitely my next couple of Super Bowls will definitely be I'll be at home on the couch or at somebody else's Super Bowl party. For sure.
All right.
Yeah, I saw that was dope too. I seen Usher after the Super Bowl. I guess he got married to his girlfriend or something.
I thought he got married before the Super Bowl.
I heard that it was
but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
He got married.
Yeah, he got married during that time, somehow, some way. But yeah, I did hear that, which was pretty dope. I thought that was pretty cool as well, And then just seeing, like, one thing I'll say, I mean, you obviously, I guess, watching at home, trying to remember, they probably don't show this part, but, like, seeing once, like, halftime started and once they bring all of the stuff out and put it on the field and get it ready for the show, I mean, it was so many people, and they did that thing in, like, 3 minutes. Like, they brought all the stages out. Yep. Like, everything. I mean, it literally happened that quickly, and it was just pretty cool to kind of, like, see that. I know a lot of times, I think it's probably like commercials are ran, so you don't really get to see that part of it, like the putting together and the
every now and again, you might be able to see, like, when the what are they called, spectators, or who are the people who talk?
Yeah, the commentators.
Yeah. So when they're talking, depending on where they are set up, sometimes you can kind of see that stuff happening in the background. They try to blur it out, but you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
I thought that was pretty cool, just seeing, everything that he was everything that was being put together for the show. That was dope.
Being at a game is like no other. Like, I feel like I would prefer to go and watch a football game and go and watch a basketball game in person than to sit and watch it on TV. Because there's so much stuff that's going on that you don't see on TV.
Yeah.
Interactions with, I don't know about football, because I've been to a probably handful of professional football games, but I've been to tons of professional basketball games.
Yeah.
And it's so much interaction with the crowd that you don't get to see, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
And then depending on like your status, you might have access to certain parts of the stadium that you don't even know is there. Because they be having like these secret clubs and stuff like that you can enter VIP areas and stuff like that. That's really fun.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of stuff.
That's too. Me too. Me too. Yeah, the seats I had, we had really good seats, man. We were in section 207. So we were in the club level, right, of seats. So, all your like celebrities that, had I even seen, I think Floyd Mayweather had bought, they said a club section for like over $1 million. I was like, goodness gracious. Yeah. And but
that's a write off for him.
Yeah. See, the whole trip, what I found out too is
you went with your CPA, so you definitely can. You discussed
some taxes. He gave me game. He was showing me how no, seriously, he was showing me like how you can write it off. So I'm gonna write that money off.
Yes,
you know what I mean? For sure. For sure. But
as soon as I thought about it and you said you was going with Sherman, I was like, oh yeah, this is an automatic write off. Y'all sit down, have lunch, y'all talk about taxes for a little bit.
Yeah. Boom. And he was even telling me like, because sports gambling is like a big thing now. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times if you sports gambling, you make money sports gambling, you got to pay taxes on that money. And so he was like, with that, the caveat you can do, he was like, with going to the Super Bowl, it's like, hey, I'm live watching the game because I put money on the game and I'm wanting to watch my investment and see how it pays off. So because you're actually doing that, like that's a way that whole event of going to the game could be written off. So I was like, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's music to my ears. So that's good.
Music to your ears.
Definitely. But yeah, the Super Bowl was fun, man. It was great. On the way back, we flew Breeze. Breeze has direct flights.
I was about to say, what is Breeze? I thought you were trying to tell me it was a breeze.
Nah. Breeze is an airline. It's a new airline. I think it came out maybe like 2-3 years ago. But they have direct flights from here to Las Vegas. But they're only on, I think, 2 days a week. They're only on Fridays and Mondays. And so the reason I didn't fly Breeze there, because I'm always looking for direct flight. That's just how I am. Like, I'm always looking for a direct flight. I hate layovers. So the reason I didn't do it on Friday, obviously, was because my dad's birthday. So we didn't leave out till Saturday. So Saturday, they didn't have any flights out. But we flew back Breeze on Monday. And that was cool. It was fine. It was no pun intended, it was a breeze. But they did have a slight delay leaving out. So, we did get back a little bit later than, what we were anticipating or whatnot. And I really feel like, I want to say as of yesterday, I finally like got my legs up under me as far as like the West Coast, East Coast time. Like I've been staying up late than I normally am because I've been on the West Coast time still and been missing my morning workouts or whatever. So I was able to work out this morning for the first time in a week. So that felt good. I felt like I finally got back in my routine. So yeah, it was cool. Like I said, all in all, man, it was a great trip.
Great trip.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, what did you do for the Super Bowl? Did you go somewhere? Did you just watch it at home, have a party or anything, or what?
Yeah, I traveled. I was in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we just sat there and watched the game. I actually fell asleep after third quarter, 5 minutes in, I was done.
You sleep?
Yeah. I was tired. I had worked that morning. Matter of fact, let's put some mortgage into this story.
Yeah. What you got?
So I woke up Sunday morning to a phone call from a real estate agent saying, hey, Sophia, I got this client. They want to make an offer on this house. Can we get a pre-approval letter? And if they submit the application, can you get it done?
Yeah.
Of course. I can get it done.
Were you already in Northern Virginia at this time? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Already there.
Okay.
I had a first-time homebuyers class on Saturday morning, which I did in Northern Virginia too, just sweet. On Zoom.
Okay.
So then on Sunday, I get this phone call. It's 10 a.m. I had just woke up because I had went to sleep late Saturday night.
Okay.
And I had woke up kind of late Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I get up, I go use the restroom, and then I'm done using the restroom, and I get this phone call. Hadn't even brushed my teeth yet. Okay?
Yeah.
Took the phone call. I was like, okay, yeah, just give me like 5-10 minutes so I can brush my teeth, wash my face, kind of wake myself up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Call the person, get the application in, send out the pre-approval letter. They make the offer. The very next day, the agent reached out and was like, hey, they're going with another lender. Do you know how pissed I was?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I've had those calls before myself. Yeah.
I was so mad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it took my letter to be able to make that offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people sometimes can be inconsiderate of the work that we do.
Yeah.
Because I can't even get my words together because I'm thinking about that day.
I say you getting hot. I
delayed my day, right? And had multiple conversations. On Super Bowl Sunday, I delayed my alcoholic beverage that day for this conversation. And then to get that news, it was very upsetting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I would
tough,
never do that to anybody.
Yeah.
I would solely be appreciative of you taking your time out on a Sunday, not only just any Sunday, but Super Bowl Sunday, to assist me and to actually call me and talk to me and have a conversation and let's work through this so I can get this house.
Yeah. 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 Again, I've had that happen to me numerous times. A lot of times, like most of the agents that I work with, I wouldn't say we're friends, but we have a relationship, a working relationship where we look out for each other. And so obviously you want to, I've had times where I'm like, look, I told the agent, like, look, you need to call your buyers and let them know what's going on. That they're not jumping ship. They're not leaving working with me because you understand the dynamic of what's going on. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, you don't necessarily always know. Sometimes you do, but a lot of people are, self-centered. So they don't even look at that, like that they just look at like, hey, I'm trying to buy this house. I need what I need. Get it to me. Like that. People actually are like that. So sometimes you got to remind people.
It's hard to recognize because I'm not like that.
Yeah, I'm not like that either. But I'm just saying there's some people who are, that's how they operate. They always operate where when they're doing something, nobody else in the world is doing anything or matters. What they're doing is the most important thing. So everybody who's involved in what they're doing needs to bow down to them in that situation. And that's how people are sometimes. And you got to remind people that that's not how things work. Like we all need each other to help make this thing move. So you need to, what Birdman said, put some respect on my name, put some respect on my name and understand like, hey, I'm, on a Sunday where I'm spending time with my family or doing other things, like, hey, I'm doing something that's aiding you to help you. So we're not in the position anymore where you're going to try to seek business elsewhere or try to like, hey, flip this. Like, nah, we're not doing it. Like, we standing on business, right?
Stand on business.
You know what I'm
saying? I'm going to start firing people.
Yeah, man. I'm serious. Like, I've had that situation. I remember a couple weeks ago, I kind of had a similar situation with someone. I had conversations, multiple different conversations. Husband was in one state, wife's in this state. I'm having the same conversation 3-4 different times, to different people, to the husband one time, to the wife 3 times, and boom. And then we finally get a house under contract. I'm giving them all these scenarios. They want to know if I put down this amount of money, if I put down this amount of money, what is rates doing right now? They seen something come on the news. What did rate do here? Like, I'm having these conversations for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and then finally we're under contract, and I talked to both of them. Everybody's good. We locked the loan. Everybody's happy. I get a call on a Sunday. I'm at my son's basketball game, and they're like, "Yo, we got another quote from another lender saying that they can do this rate. Can you match it?" And I'm sitting there having to step out here, talk to them because it is a high price point. So I do want to secure the deal and also help them out.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here, my son's looking around for me at the basketball game, trying to see where I'm at. I'm missing that time that I cherish. The reason I do what I do is for those moments. I'm like, man, go ahead, man. I was like, man, we're just have to talk about this on Monday. And then I called the agent. I was like, look, you need to talk to them, man. Like, I'm not about to have these types of back and forth. And she championed and stood up for me, in that situation. But sometimes you just got to have those conversations.
That's really good
man.
that you had someone who championed for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got agents that championed for me, but in this particular situation, that was not the case. But that's fine.
Yeah. It just sucks when those situations happen, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So jumping into some of the topics that we were going to be discussing today, I know that earlier you mentioned, what was it that you mentioned?
Yeah, so I know this week we had a pretty busy week when it comes to like the media, mortgages, and different things that influence.
Oh, the CPI report.
What the market has been doing. Yeah. So the CPI report came out. I think it was on Tuesday, and it said that inflation had went up 0.3%. It was a little bit higher than what had expected on a month-over-month basis. And so that immediately had a negative impact when it comes to interest rates. We've been having a pretty good run of, rates going down. And so we did have the last 2 weeks, I would say now, a sharp turn where rates kind of went up a little bit because of that information on the CPI report. So I did see a couple of loans I'm working on right now where we call it in our world either locking a loan or you're letting a loan float. So there's a couple of loans where we're letting it float because we want to see how the market responds and what the different things that are going to be coming down the pipe over the next couple of weeks. So we did have a negative, I guess you could say, in our world when it comes to rates on Tuesday, where the CPI report came in, a little bit hotter than expected. So yeah, and then also this week we had the jobs report. It came out too, and it showed that unemployment actually went down a little bit from last week to this week. And so with that information, rates actually got a little bit better. So we still didn't get the gains that we lost, I would say, on Tuesday, but we did get a little get back. Just a little get back, so that's always good when we log in on our system and, the system, it'll give us like the live, it's almost like looking at the stock market. It gives us a live, run of where the rates are and what they're doing and how they're moving. And, it's either in the red or it's in the green, what I mean? And so when we see it in the red, we're like, it's a tough
Not
day.
a good day to lock.
Not a good day, but when it's in the green, it is something that's like, yes, okay, we're moving in the right direction. So we had a couple of red days and we did have a good green day. So, but yeah, that was pretty much, as far as the movement in the market and rates, I mean, that's what happened this week so far. So,
yeah. I had someone inquire about an adjustable rate mortgage, and I hadn't had anybody come to me and ask me about that product in years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Years. But it just so happened that right now, with our company specifically, I can't speak for all companies, but the 30-year fixed with 20% down was definitely a better move than the ARM product.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what a ARM is, it means adjustable rate mortgage. So that's one of those mortgage products that will stay the same rate for a certain amount of years, and then it can adjust every so often based on the back end of what that adjustable rate mortgage is.
Yeah. So I remember you'll have some people who are very strategic. Like I remember when I first, I mean, it's been, like you said, it's been so long, man.
It's been so
a minute. But I remember even back when I was at Wells Fargo, there were a couple of scenarios where I would run where people were on contract work, where they got a job here.
Right.
They were here for a couple of years. They would do an ARM. And so let's say the 30-year fixed rate, let's just say it was 5%, but the ARM rate was 4% or 4.25, but the ARM was for 3 years or 5 years, right? They would do the ARM rate so they could take advantage of a lower rate, during the time where they knew for a fact they were going to be here. But they knew that their job was a line of work where they moved a lot, and they typically sold the house when they moved. And so therefore, they were like, hey, instead of getting a 30-year fixed rate, which there's stability there, let's go ahead and take advantage of, this lower rate during this shorter period of time, because I know I'm not going to be here for full 30 years or even longer than, that short period of time of that fixed rate being lower. So there's different, ways you can kind of go about it. But yeah, right now, like you said, when it comes to ARM rates, in that scenario, it sounds like a 30-year fix was still a better option.
It was. Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, at the time, I think the rate was like almost 8%, if not in the 8s with some of the different products.
Yeah.
Depending on what ARM they were in.
Yeah.
And I was able to get them, they're in the 6s right now. There's no mortgage insurance. So
I know Yeah. Typically, I mean, ARMs aren't going to be, when you're putting 20% down, most of the time,
they're not going to be as favorable.
Yeah, they're not going to be as favorable. And most of the time, when you're putting 20% down, that means you plan to be in the home for a little bit, in most cases, I mean, most people, when they put 20% down, they're spending their money in a way where they're making that investment. So they're not going to want to move in a 2 to 3 year time frame. You know what I'm saying? In most cases, like I said, obviously everybody's situation is a little different, but if you look at it from a greater, broad perspective, I mean, most of the time, if people are putting down that amount of money, they plan to be there for at least foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, I mean, there's scenarios and circumstances where even, right, we mentioned before, we're refinancing, right? I've had a couple people already refinance earlier this year for various different reasons. Some people just debt consolidating because, right now credit card debt is at an all-time. I know we're over trillions of dollars as a as a country, in debt and credit card debt. So I've had people who just kind of consolidate and leverage their equity in their home to be able to pay off their credit card debt and kind of have their monthly output be lessened for them. But I also had some folks, just because of the time frame, where I helped them purchase a house last year around like July, August time frame, where rates kind of peaked up a little bit, where they were in the high sixes. And even one was at 7% when it comes to like a VA buyer. And so, right now, I was able to lock them in on a interest rate reduction loan, which VA is another great benefit from VA, where you can, do an interest rate reduction where you could actually refinance and lower your rate to the current market rate, and it'd be very minimal that has to happen. As long as your payments have been on time since you've had the mortgage, and as long as it's been at least 6 months or 210 days since you actually closed on the home, we can do a refinance and lower the rate down to the current market rate. So I got a couple people who I'm helping where they're dropping their rate down from 7% to right around 6%, right around 5.99. Their mortgage payments dropping by $200. And because of the timing of everything, they're also able to skip 2 mortgage payments as well. So there's no appraisal that has to be done or anything like that. We don't even have to confirm like employment information, none of that stuff. It's literally just confirming that, your mortgage payment has been paid on time. And then that you also have at least a 600 credit score. I mean, we do just kind of check to see that your credit just didn't implode, since you purchased the home,
And I know a lot of y'all gonna listen to Bryan's time frame. He said 6 months, and then he also said 210 days because they don't really equal the same thing.
Yeah.
But
that's true. You're right.
What he was trying to say was 6 payments.
6 payments. That's true. Yeah, 6 payments. Yeah, depending on when you close,
right?
That determines when your first payment is made, and you said 6 payments. Yeah. So that's true. My bad.
People are like, hold on, wait, he the mortgage guy? He can't ask?
Right. But it was cool though. Like I said, I helped a couple people, man. We're doing that right now as we speak. They plan to close in March. And they're gonna be able to drop their payment by $200, and then are also going to be able to skip March and April's payment. So, their new payments don't kick in until May, which is a great benefit. I mean, if their payment's $2,600, that's $5,000 or $6,000 that they could put towards something else or just kind of keep in their pocket.
Yep.
And really, there's no out-of-pocket expenses when you do the interest rate reduction loan through the VA. There are closing costs that are involved, so there are costs that they put on your loan for actually executing the refinance, which are very
get to skip two monthly payments.
Yeah, which is very similar to how much you get to skip. So it kind of, in a sense, is a wash. But if you plan to stay or be in the house for the foreseeable future, I mean, it's a good time to potentially look at that, especially if you purchase that time. And also, there's because the conversation I had with both of the people who I helped with this was like, hey, if I refinance now, does that prevent me from being able to do it later if rates get even lower?
Absolutely not.
And no, I mean, you can still refinance. Again, that clock starts again. The 6 payments or the 210 days. That clock starts again. I know, right? But yeah, so you can continue to do it. So if rates, drop below 5 top of next year, then you can just do it again. You know what I mean? So it's something where it's not like you have to like be perfect when it comes to your timing. Like as long as it makes sense and there's a benefit for you to do it now, then if the opportunity comes again, then you can just do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. So I was browsing social media, as we all do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this topic come up where it said, would you buy a home from someone who doesn't own a house themselves? Whether you're talking to your lender or you're talking to your real estate agent.
It's a good question. I guess.
And I do not mean to offend anybody who is an agent and don't own.
So look,
not offending you at all.
Yeah.
So but it is something that I saw online.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, I can't do. I'm a player because I always get on you for doing this because I'm a very like yes or no person, and I know a lot of times you'd be like, well, the circumstance,
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, or you'd be like, well, this, and that, or there's an exception here. So I feel like there's an exception to this one, but there are many exceptions to this one, but. I would like for the person who's helping me buy a house to have purchase the house themselves. I think that's probably the only right. But it's funny. I mean, there was a time that sticks out of my brain specifically where there was an agent who does a lot of business. You actually know her. I'll mention you too. I'll mention her name off air, but she does a lot of business. So in my mind, I just thought, well, I know for a fact she owns her own home. You know what I'm saying? And I remember we having like a sidebar conversation about something. And it came out in conversation that she didn't own her home. And I was kind of like shocked. I didn't bring it up or anything, but it was just something I took in my brain like, dang, like, you know what I mean? Just because you out here selling houses sometimes don't necessarily mean that you are doing what you, I ain't gonna say should be doing, which I kind of think you should, but that you may not be subscribing to your own.
That's like getting marriage advice from a single person.
There you go. That's a good that's a good comparison. That's a good comparison. But I guess the thing is though, when people are like, if you have a real estate agent, right, that's helping you, right? Because I really haven't had to have this circumstance because every time I've had a real estate agent help me buy a house, it's either been like I've been a part of it because my wife has a real estate license, or I've had like one of my buddies who's a real estate agent. So it's like a different dynamic than most people, I would say. Okay. But like, do you talk to your agent about their personal situation? Like, do people like? How would you know if your agent owns their own home? You see what I'm saying? Like, because I think an agent could help a person buy a house and that never ever come up.
I don't know.
You understand what I'm saying?
That is true.
So
but I know that I'm trying to think back when I first bought my home, I don't recall ever asking my agent if she owned her own home. Really, yeah. I don't recall that. But if I had to take buying a house out of the equation, and we talked about normal things like hair, right? Mm-hmm. When I'm talking to my hairdresser about hair, I'm asking about her personal experience. Like, hey, have you tried this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you experienced this? Have you seen this before? Like, how is this? Like, how has it been? Yeah. And I guess I would say that I would have translated, but at the same time, when I bought my first house, I wasn't that old. I mean, I wasn't young, but I was in my 20s. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Yeah. To be honest with you. Yeah. I just knew I wanted to buy a house. Mm-hmm. And I didn't. It was just that. Yeah. Because I needed more space. Renting was, at the time, not affordable to me. Yeah. And I feel like, okay, why am I renting and spend all this money on rent? I had a 3-bedroom apartment. It was maybe, I don't even remember how many square feet it was, maybe 1,400 square feet. Mm-hmm. And it felt like we were on top of each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I just needed space. Yeah, makes sense. And even now, I think that's probably if you poll most people, I would think most people, that's the driving force of them owning a home or trying to pursue purchasing a home is for more space. Because typically you get more, space when you buy a home. In most cases, depending on, your circumstance, obviously. But yeah, I mean, that But I know, like, even when I have conversations, like, I speak a lot about what has happened to me personally sometimes. Like, let's say, it's a closing cost situation and they want to know how that works. And I'm like, oh, well, when I bought my first house, Got you. Yeah, you and I had this. Or some people don't get that. Some people don't divulge that information. You know what I mean? Some people don't. They keep that real their personal stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't divulge a whole lot of information either. But I feel like me saying I bought a house ain't really correct. I mean, maybe. I guess it's kind of personal. I don't know. Correct. But I ain't like I'm like, oh, yeah. I bought this so-and-so amount dollar house and this. No, I'm not doing all that. But I will mention, like, I'm a homeowner. So question then, going it back to you then. So in that circumstance that you said, if you did ask an agent, and let's say you were in the beginning stages of working with that agent, right? And you asked them, hey, ask them for their experience in purchasing a home, and you're a first-time home buyer, and they said that they did not. They've never purchased a home before. Does that change your outlook on that agent? Does that make you not want to work with them? Not necessarily. I guess I can just like how when you interview for a job, right? Yeah. You could have never done that job, but still hold the qualifications to meet the expectations to do the job. There you go. Okay. Look at you. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you got experience and you jumping into this, and you never own, I could rock with that.
Okay.
But if you don't own and you don't have experience, we can't do that.
Can't work together.
No.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in, like, because obviously I know when you bought your first home, you weren't doing mortgages. But now that you are doing mortgages, do you know the agent? Like, do you know the agent's name and everything? The person that helps you about your first home?
We did business together at my previous mortgage company. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, that's cool.
But then her parents were really sick, and she stopped doing real estate. She was older. Okay. My real estate agent was older. She was like, I want to say she was like 60.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But she was nice.
Yeah.
I remember the agent that I fired.
Oh, so you had an agent before her then as well?
What?
Oh wow. Okay.
Listen. When I bought my house, I was pregnant with my second child. No, I was looking for a house and I was pregnant. So my very first agent, we met at a house. And she showed up late. I was like, it was summertime. I don't know how many months I was, but I'm going to assume I was very close because my daughter was born July 31st. And we were searching in the summer. So I was there. Yeah. You know, you get to a certain amount of months. Your tolerance is very, very low.
Yeah.
So when she showed up late, I was like, "Oh no!" And we were looking at a townhouse, and I want to say it was and I know who the agent is. I actually worked with her after as a loan officer.
That was my next question.
I was about to ask you that.
I was about to ask you that.
And she was just so unorganized. Like she was like pulling papers from one folder, trying to stuff them in the other. I want to say she didn't even remember my name. It was just like simple stuff like that, and I was like, nope. And then I went to another agent, and that agent, she was fine. She was old. She was elderly.
Yeah.
Hey, well, she was old. No, she was elderly. She was older than I.
Yeah.
But she was nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
But I've worked with them both as a loan officer. That's cool. Problem.
That's cool.
But now that I'm thinking back on it, she may have been. I may have been one of her first clients.
She may be brand new.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah.
And I never looked up like when she started in real estate versus because you never know when a person really started in real estate. Yeah. Because you have some people who carry a license, they keep it active for 10 years.
Yeah.
But never sold a house ever.
Yeah.
But then you have some people who only been active for 1 year, but they sold 10, 15 houses. That's true. You never really know when someone's like actively in real estate. You may hold a license, but you may not be active.
That's true. That's true. That is very true. Speaking of that too, man, I was talking on the way here this morning, actually. It was funny. I was passing the route I normally go, and it's actually my buddy, his house is like in the back of this cul-de-sac on that street. So when I was driving down the street, I heard somebody beeping the horn. I looked and I seen it was him. And so it was funny because I was on Super E this morning. Like my guess was, I was on like, I think I had like 6-7 miles before. You
better stop doing.
I know.
Listen, if you go back and you listen to some podcasts about a month or two ago, we had this conversation about gas.
We did. I didn't even want to bring it up. I knew you was about to read me my rights right now. But look, for my story, I had to bring it up.
Okay.
So anyway,
you're gonna learn the hard way. That range gonna be like.
So I was driving. So I'd already had made plans to go to the gas station, which is actually right where I saw him at. So it was cool. Like I pulled into the gas station. He actually like came out of his neighborhood and he pulled beside me. And so we were literally outside the gas station talking for like 30 minutes. And that's my buddy, Cavell. And so we were just having a conversation. We were talking about the Super Bowl, just kind of catching up or whatever. And, he was explaining to me that, it's just been a lot different like the last couple of weeks. Most notably this week because of the change in the lawsuits that have been going on with NRA. So, he was explaining to me that, the disclosures have now changed. And so the conversations you have when you're listing a property and also when you're prepping your buyer during a buyer's consultation, he's like, you got to be ahead of this stuff and have a conversation with them because you got people out here where, now with the new rule where, the listing agent has that conversation with the seller and the seller determines basically who gets paid and how much is the percentage is getting paid on those deals, right? Which they always had beforehand, but with it being such really highlighted now, you have a lot of listing agents who are just saying, hey, you don't have to pay the buyer's agent. You could just pay the listing agent. And, it could be, 3, 4, 5, 6%. And then once you do that, once you have that, agreement in place, that's what's put out there when your house is listed. So, preparing your buyer's agent, like I have a buyer that I'm working with right now who really likes a house, who he's military as well. So he really likes a house, and the house he likes, the listing says that only the listing agent is getting paid, and the buyer's agent I think gets $1, literally $1. And so the buyer's agent has been showing this person houses all the time because the person is PCS and from the West Coast, I think maybe from San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been showing houses, video, FaceTiming houses, all this or whatever, and the person really loves this house. And now they're pursuing this house, and the buyer or the buyer's agent is like basically being, you know, like not getting paid out of the deal. You know what I'm saying? Now the buyer said that he was going to be willing to pay the buyer out of his own
It's a
pocket.
VA loan.
I know exactly. This is the conversation we had. He was like, he was willing to pay him, but he technically can't. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those scenarios now where it's like it's kind of unfortunate, because you have listing agents who, depending on how they approach the situation, how they have the conversation, whatever the seller ultimately decides, they could really have an influence on how the commissions are divvied, when it comes to the buyer's agent and themselves. So it's
I
tough,
wouldn't
man.
be surprised if the Department of Veteran Affairs don't sue, NARS, who's coming up with these rules?
NRA.
NRA?
Yeah.
For discrimination.
Yeah. Because you're gonna have people.
You're teetering that fence if you're
gonna have people
making it to where now that VA buyer, because let's backtrack. So a veteran cannot pay brokerage or commission fees when you're buying, right?
Yeah.
Those fees are not to be paid to the agent.
Yeah.
So in this specific example, NAR?
NRA.
NRA?
National Realtor Association.
Okay.
Yeah.
NRA is basically saying that the seller can collect just their commissions and make the buyer pay their own commissions. But then the VA, which this has been set in stone way before this specific issue just came out, is saying that the veteran can't pay for these commissions or fees. And now that's going to not allow veterans to buy specific homes. They won't even be eligible to buy the home simply because they cannot pay the commissions, and NRA is going to allow the seller to divvy up the commissions, right?
Yeah.
So,
because it's gonna get messy. Then you're gonna start having buyers agents who are not even gonna like show houses that they see that they're not getting paid on too. You got to think about it from that perspective as well. Because I'm not a real estate agent, but I know I'm not trying to be working for free. You know what I'm saying? So I know that if I have a buyer who is looking at houses and there's 3 houses that I think that would meet what they're looking for, and one of those houses, because you have to put out there on the listing how the commission is going to be, or you can say negotiable or whatever, but it has to be listed on the MLS as far as how those commissions are going to be broken up, right? Because that's something that is established once a house is listed. So if there's 3 houses out there and one of those houses says that, hey, the listing agent is getting 6% and the buyer's agent gets $1, I don't think that buyer's agent is going to be that enthused to show that buyer that house, because they know if they really like that house, they're not going to get paid as much or if anything on that particular house. And so therefore there's going to be the natural human element in it. There's going to be influence. To me, it's very similar. We talked about it before about in our banking world, right? Mm-hmm. When it came to like the big thing with Wells Fargo, right? Mm-hmm. When you were putting these, these quotas on folks and saying, hey, threatening them with their job and saying, if you don't get X amount of sales, then you're going to lose your job, right? And then so you have people, even managers as well. I mean, they started
coming up with ways
to make it happen, right? So I mean, that's when you put somebody's back against the wall and you're basically trying to say, hey, they can't make a certain amount of money, or they're gonna make no money on a situation when they're in a commission-based employment. Like, I mean, you're gonna have people doing things, man, that is unethical, and I think it's just really gonna be different, man.
And think about this. If you're the listing agent that not necessarily is allowing it, right? Because the decision comes from the seller.
Correct. But you got influence though, because you can explain it to them in a certain way. You can explain it to them in a certain way.
You as a listing agent.
Yep.
All these buyers agents see that you're the one doing it. You may get blackballed.
Yep. Yep. That's a fact.
Then nobody wants to work with you.
Correct.
And then what happens then?
Correct.
Because people are going to pay attention to who is the other agent on this other side.
Real estate is almost like a big fraternity. You know what I mean? You want to all y'all want to help each other out, right? For the greater good. So if you got yourself and you're over here like feeling like you monopolizing in a situation where you're like, hey, you know what I'm saying? On all my listings, I'm doing 6%. I don't care. So like I can do less business and get paid a certain amount of money because I'm getting paid 6% on every deal versus 3%. Forget that buyer's agent. I'm just gonna go after listings. Forget them, right? Like you could do that, but that's gonna run out, man. Because when you get attached to that type of stigma, I mean, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be really, really tough. And I'm already seeing it. Like I'm already seeing some real estate agents who actually been ahead of this, to be honest with you, who like, because technically you could have, you can negotiate the commissions, but being there, like them specifically on all of their listings, that's what it is. Like, so you kind of like, I can see if it's like here and there, whatever, the listing agent and the seller has a conversation, the seller picks on this one to go 5% and this person gets 1%, or this person, like, if it's different, all of them, that's a little bit believable, a little different. But if this particular agent behind all of their listings is always the same, where the buyer's agent is not getting any or very little commission and the listing agent is getting the majority or all of the commission, like there has to be some type of conversation that you're having that's making that be the case. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's
muddy waters.
Yeah, it's tough.
Fun times.
Yeah. It's tough, man. But that's something that me and him was talking about this morning at the gas station, where he was like, man, it's tough because he's actually on the rain board. So he sees all these lawsuits that come through. Like, he sees everything. He's like, man, it's a lot, bro. He was like, it's a lot, man. It's a lot going on.
I wonder if I can get on the rain board.
He said, if you can get on it? Yeah. I don't know. You got to be a real estate agent on it.
Do you?
I believe so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think most of the people on there are real. You said just be nosy. Yeah, I think most people on there are real estate agents in some form or fashion. Because I feel like there's a certain amount of hours you have.
But you have to have an unbiased party, right?
No? Who's that?
Shouldn't you have like an unbiased party, somebody who's not a real estate agent? I feel like that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to I think it's like credentials in the sense of like you've had to like sell a certain amount of real estate or hold a license for a certain amount of time. Like, so you may not be actively selling them today or whatever, but you've had to have, a certain amount of accolades, a certain amount of experience, I guess you could say. So,
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough, man. I'm eager to see how that plans out, because you got a lot of people, as we talked about before, listings are harder to come by than
buys.
Than buys, So you got people who are relying on buyers agents. We are, as well, from this perspective of mortgages, man. So
because if my buyer has to not only worry about closing costs, now they have to worry about paying a commission to a real estate agent.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is
for individuals who already don't have money.
Yeah, and see, for me, I'm an investor, right? So I sell houses too. Like, I build houses and sell them. So like I wouldn't do that. I mean, I could be greedy and be like, yo, that means now I can make more money than what I was before. Most of the time as an investor, you already have to cut out 9% and say, hey, 3% is going to the buyer agent, 3% is going to the listing agent, and you're probably going to have to pay the buyer's closing costs, right? So you automatically structure your deal and evaluate the deal based on knowing that money is not your money. And if you get any of that, then that's just bonus. That's an icing on the cake. So I could say, hey, shoot, now, boom, 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 I can get, way more or whatever. But I know that it's a big circle, like I call it the circle of life. Like, just because I'm on this
circle of real estate life.
So just because I'm like be eating over here, I mean, I'm taking money out of my hand over here. You know what I'm saying? By attacking that type of situation in that manner. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah, but what you got going on? What's what's coming up this weekend? What you got going on? Anything coming up?
Yes, so my son's birthday was yesterday. My little baby turned 5.
Big 5.
And we are having a birthday party on Saturday. So
Sweet.
So excited. He's excited.
I
He's
bet.
super excited. So we're gonna do that.
Okay.
And then I think that's it for the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. That's about I have to like pick up the cake, pick up the balloons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I already braided his hair and got him a haircut and stuff like that. So he's fresh right now. He think he hot shit too.
Oh, 100%. I already know.
Oh,
I already know
my
how that is. Yeah, I'm a boy. I'm a guy. I'm a man. So I know, like,
I'm a boy.
yeah, like, I got a son who's, 5 as well. So I know exactly how that was. We went to the barbershop, got him fresh for his birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was smiling, looking around, just, just exuberant. So, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. So that's all I got going. What about you?
Shoot, this weekend, obviously coming out from going out of town last weekend, man, I typically try not to plan things back to back. So we don't got nothing going on this weekend. I know my son's last basketball game is this weekend, so I'm excited for that.
So did he play last weekend?
No, he didn't play. He didn't play. Yeah, he didn't play. My parents came over and watched the kids, and he did not play.
Oh.
Yeah, he set that one out. But yeah, so
I'm surprised your dad didn't take him.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are coming to this game because it's his last one. But I think because it was Super Bowl Sunday, I think a couple kids actually didn't go. Like, because their games are on Sundays, which is kind of a little different. You know what I mean?
That is different.
But yeah,
usually Sunday is a relaxed day, church day and relaxed day.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, this weekend, man, I don't got any plans. Just like I said, I know this last game is Sunday. I know Monday is a holiday though.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so tired of these holidays.
So you're tired of the holidays?
Yes.
What I
think the week that my kids were sick kind of took me out of it.
Makes sense.
That was extra days that are outside of the normal regular schedule.
Yeah, that makes sense. What I plan to do though on Monday though, because the kids been asking, especially my son, one of the houses that I've been building recently is under contract, and the buyer closes on it at the end of this month. And so I took my kids to see like the process. I took them to see it like when it was nothing there, then when it was starting to be built, and then when it was like maybe like 60, 70% done, like the outside, you could tell it was pretty much getting, finished up or whatever. And so they've never been inside of it though. So that's something that I always try to do is bring them to the house so they can kind of see what daddy does as far as that goes. You know what I mean? Because they always see me at home and stuff. And they see me on the phone. So they know I do stuff, but I kind of want to show them so they understand, the whole dynamic and everything.
Yeah.
So on Monday, since they're out of school, what I'll probably do is take them out there, because since the buyer is closing, I think late next week. I mean, I ain't gonna be able to do it, anytime soon. Once the buyer actually closes on it. So on Monday, I'll probably take them out to the house so they can actually see it and see like, hey, the house is done. Like you saw it. This is the beginning and this is the very end. Now the person's getting ready to move in and buy the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll probably do it on Monday. But outside of that, like I said, just chill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that is all we have for today.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.